Hello, I'm Bethany. I'm a lower elementary Montessori teacher, and today I'm going to be talking about what Montessori says about geometry. And then also, I'm going to plan some things and just do like my thought process of things in a little bit after I talk a little bit about what Montessori says about in geometry. So, I do a live talk every month. I think in the summer, I'm going to do different ones, and it's kind of a live discussion, so we all just talk and what we talk about what we do, and after reading like the Montessori books, although in this I might change that a little bit. But so I've been going through Montessori books again after reading them in the training, and then it's been quite a while since I've been in the training, so I'm just revisiting some things because I don't want to keep getting stuck in the same habits and patterns. And I'm glad I did, because after you actually experience like the classroom for years and then go back and read it, it's like, oh wait, that makes a lot more sense than when I had almost no experience in knowing it. So what I want to say first is that the geometry part of the Montessori book, it's from the second volume of the elementary book she wrote, mostly talks about fractions, which is interesting because we all know her, like the red fraction pieces. And then she doesn't talk about geometry that much. I mean, there's a little bit in obviously the geometry part, but there's a section of art, and that's when she mostly talks about the geometry and learning through drawing. And I was or different art, because geometry really is art. And everything. And that's another thing I learned in training, is like geometry's everywhere. Like you could just take your kids outside or literally sit in the classroom and be like, that's an angle, that's a straight line, there's a horizontal line. Like it's all within our scope of just knowing that. But having them realize geometry is literally everywhere. So with that, there's also this thing, I mean, the thing of that we all do, the 3-part cards. And I'm just getting tired of the 3-part cards. And so are the kids. I had one kid that I taught for the full 3-year cycle come back and say, they're still doing 3-part cards, not like that dramatically, but he's like, least favorite thing, 3-part cards, because there's 3-part cards in the cultural, there's 3-part cards in geometry, there's 3-part cards in language and math, and literally every aspect. And that's fine. We're not going to get rid of them. But what we can do is present them the 3-part card. And then what's the follow-up work to it? Is it just writing the picture and the definition, which I did for a long time, but I want to try to change it up because it's more hands-on learning that way. I will present it the way, lay out the card, do this. No, what are we going to do next? And that's what we're going to plan here in a little bit. But I'm still explaining the Montessori and geometry thing. And also we know that the kids from first, when they get to third, learn a lot of geometry that they would say in like 10th grade geometry, when kids usually, or high school geometry, where it's like angles and measuring. I know there's a lot more complicated stuff they do than that, and maybe they do it in the 4 to 6, right? But what the point of that is that they were never in Montessori time in high school, and they were like to start a farm business or something like that. So she put a lot of emphasis on geometry at a younger age. So that's just to say that we do a lot of stuff in the lower elementary with geometry, but I want it to be more hands-on experience, a more drawing experience. Just reading that, it's just more fun, more engaging, and I'm excited to come up with ideas for that. So let's go ahead and start planning. Okay, so here I just have my Word document up, or just whatever, a document to type on up. And I'm just going to sit and kind of do a think through of what I know and what just some ideas, and talk through it kind of with you, and just to think of ideas for next year. This is actually from my scope and sequence, and now I saw my scope and sequence with my maps, so you get all of it. So it'll be linked down below if you want, but it's for math, language, and cultural, and then the map breaks it down even further. It's I put a lot of love and passion into my scope and sequence, and it's very good because I could go on about my scope and sequence, but we're going to focus on geometry. So, okay, geometric solids. So maybe I'll just put like a list thing. Now we all know they kind of do this in early childhood, and they obviously have the Montessori um solids, the blue ones, right? And there's also oopsies. Ugh, there's also cards that go with it. But what could they do to like practice? I know there's ways like folding paper ones. There's folding paper ways to do it. They could use blocks or the materials and build a little city maybe, a little city with it to see. Okay, kind of like how they kind of have extensions for the pink tower and the brown stairs and the red rods, kind of like build a little city with it. I know we don't have those at elementary, but then they have to label the things they could. Oh, I know, these um list where the geometric solids are found in their life. That's a good one. List where the geometric solids are found in their life. Okay, just for the sake of time, we'll continue. Okay, so I'm just going to start where we all start kind of after geometric solids because these are just for the shape or whatever. And this is just how I have it. But so usually in the elementary, we start with the fundamental concepts or the four key elements of geometry, whatever you call them. And this is also following the Montessori for Everyone thing I got with my training for the different cards. So like A1, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, and then C1, C2, C3, C3. Does that make sense? So if you're wondering why I have like the different labels, that's just how I think kind of we all do it at this point, but we'll see. The fundamental concepts, what I do, I have done this before. Most of the times I use Twizzlers, although the red dye thing to make the four key elements. I have also used paper and string. I'll just put art supplies to make the point line plane and solid or surface if you're not saying plane. So those things. So then types of lines. We have because the types of lines, I was like, wait. Usually I jump to this one because that's why the types of lines are curved and straight lines. Okay. So it's like there's a straight line or there's a curved line. And usually it's just the cards and then it has the definition and the name, and then I have them write it down. And usually I just shove it with the second one because that's two pieces of work. You know, it just kids understand curved and straight lines, but let's say we wanted to practice with it, we could um look around the room and find curved and straight lines. We could also draw because they talked a lot about art in that book and how they should just um, draw a picture and then identify the curved and straight lines. Um, well, I was going to say like find or identify items. Okay, that's okay. Now this one I usually do with string. I do the string. They make the line and then they do the endpoints, the origin, the ray. They do the different things with string, and then they take a pencil and with the red and do the parts of the line that way, so they're just not drawing it. The string one, but how else could you do it? You could use some kind of food item, um, things like that. Positions of a straight line. So that's the one where it's either horizontal, vertical, or oblique. So again, drawing, look around the room, that type of things. A lot of these, like I'm just looking down the list. And a lot of these, so an angle, that's introducing the angle, right? And again, I use string. Okay, we use a lot of string, I guess, more than I thought. And usually they do draw these things, but angles are a little bit different. I'm just trying to like get you in the mindset. I don't want to do all of these with you. That might be boring. But let's try to see some other things, maybe symmetry. So obviously everybody's favorite, the heart, right? Or they could just take any shape out of paper. They could think of items like a butterfly. That's a good symmetry one. Think of items. Example, example, butterfly. Draw and write. Draw and draw picture of item slash thing and draw the line of symmetry. But you could also do a lemon. There's a lot of symmetrical things, but they could do that if they don't want to draw. Because when I was doing that, I was like, well, some kids don't like to draw, but if they don't, maybe they like to do other things. Or even take 3D object, and put a string around it for the line of symmetry, right? Um, they could maybe, instead of just saying, okay, well, that's how you do it with the rectangles like we do. I mean, we could still use the rectangles, or we could do a floor plan. They might want to design a house, especially the third years. They could fence their yard, right? Because that's a thing. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. And of course, geometric art, things like that. So this is just, I just want to give you a little, I don't know, just just explaining again what Montessori says, which she says a lot, but you have to read the geometry one and the art one to get like the full geometry part of that book. And just that it's a lot of hands-on drawing and things like that, which is not just laying out three-part cards. So anyways, if you're interested in the scope and sequence, you can click it down below or join my free hub of resources as well. Thank you for watching.